Okay, class, let's move along and go to part 2 of lab 2, installing Virtualbox and installing Ubuntu in Virtualbox. So, I'm gonna visit the download page for Virtualbox. If you click on the link over here, it takes you straight to the download page. We're gonna click on Windows host because I'm using Windows, and I'm also going to download there you go, the extension pack for Virtualbox. We also need to download the Microsoft Visual C++ redistributable, the latest. So we're gonna go to this link, which I'm gonna give you in the lab. So there's gonna be a link in the lab to this as well, and then go straight to x86-64 because we have a 64-bit computer. Click over here, and the first thing that we're going to install is this vc redist.x64. So I'm just gonna open the folder. I'm gonna run this installation. I have already installed mine, so I'm just gonna click on repair just so that you see how it looks like, and close. Then we can start the installer for Virtualbox. Click on yes, preparing for installation, click on next, click on next, click on yes, yes, install, and now we just wait until this wizard does its thing. I'm gonna pause the video so that it's not, so we just don't sit here looking for something to install, and I'll be back in a moment. Now that the installation is done, we're not going to start Virtualbox right away, so we don't check that, and we click on finish. What we will install is the extension pack. So we just have to double click on the installer, click on install, I agree, yes, wait until the package is installed, and we're done. That's it. Now we have Virtualbox installed, we can create virtual machines, right? So I'm just gonna close that, I'm gonna minimize that. Now let's start the virtual machine. Let's create a virtual machine for practice. Like, this is not gonna be the actual virtual machine, I just wanna show you how it works. So we're gonna click on new here. I'm gonna give this virtual machine a name. Here I'm gonna call mine Ubuntu desktop, right? Then here it says ISO image. Now this is gonna be the installer, right? The Ubuntu virtual CD. So we're gonna go here in the lab, and we're gonna go to here. See what it says, Ubuntu OS 24 bits ISO. So just click on this link, which will take you to this page here. Now we're gonna click on download here, 22.04 LTS, download. And we're gonna wait until this until the ISO file is done installing. We're just gonna wait for that. It's gonna take 6 minutes for me, so I'm just gonna pause the video, make some coffee, and come back in 6-7 minutes. Okay, so the file downloaded before my coffee was ready, so that's unfortunate. So yeah, that is the ISO file right over here. So we're gonna go back into Virtualbox, and we're gonna click on the little button over here. Click on Other, Downloads, and then select the ISO file for the installation of the operating system. We're gonna click on Skip Unattended Installation because we want certain things to not be done automatically. Now we're gonna click on Next here, and our base memory is gonna be 248 megabytes. So that's just 248 megabytes, that's 2 gigabytes. If you have a lot of RAM in your computer, you can give it more if you like, but 2 to 4 gigabytes of RAM is good enough for all the work that we are going to do. The number of processors needs to be 2. That is problematic if you have less than 4 CPUs. If you have less than 4 CPU cores, then you can see how your computer will start struggling here. So we're gonna click on Next, and then the amount of hard disk space between 40 and 50 should be enough. So 40 gigabytes is more than enough, but 50 is on the safe side. Click on Next, and we're gonna click on Finish over here. Now there are still a couple of modifications we need to do to our virtual machines. So first we're gonna go on Settings, right here. Then we are gonna click on Advanced, and we're gonna change this to bidirectional. This is gonna allow us to drag and drop files that exist in our computer to our virtual machines and vice versa. And it also will allow us to copy and paste text from our regular computer to our virtual machines, which is gonna come very handy later on. In description over here, we're gonna write a couple of notes. So for example, user. What's gonna be the username of your computer? I'm gonna select my Blackboard username. You are okay. If you wanna do this, that's fine. If you wanna choose a different username, that's also fine. But I suggest you to stick to this semantics, which is easier. Host name is going to be the name of the computer. We're going to call this computer CIS 106. In a network, every computer needs to have a name, right? And every computer needs to have an IP address if it wishes to communicate to other computers. Now, next, I'm going to put here password, right? Choose something simple. I'm going to choose PCCC, but choose something simple because this is a test environment, right? This is for us to learn, to play around, to break, to destroy. This is not something we're going to deploy anywhere. So we're going to pick something simple, stupid, straightforward. So something we can always remember. And yeah, that's about it. Then in system here, we're going to disable floppy disk because we're not going to use it. There's no need for us to have it if we're not going to use it. Then here in processor, we already did all the configuration that we need here, so we're fine. We're not going to do nothing with acceleration. We're going to leave it as is. In display, we're going to enable 3D acceleration, and we're going to increase this to the maximum size that it allows us to increase it to. In Ubuntu, it's going to be 128 megabytes. We're going to leave the rest as is. We're not going to change it. Storage, we're going to leave it as is. We just leave it like that. Audio, we don't need an audio card in this virtual machine. We're not going to be listening to anything inside Ubuntu, so why having it? Like, we don't need it. We're just going to remove it. Network, you're going to leave it as is. Later on, we're going to change this, but for now, just leave it as is, not. The rest of the settings also stay as is. Now you're going to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to open my screenshot application with this snipping tool, and I'm going to click on new. And because I'm in a virtual machine, I won't be able to take a screenshot of this successfully, but what I'm looking for is a screenshot of this window. It needs to show all the settings of your virtual machine, right? You're gonna save that screenshot somewhere in your computer because we're gonna need it later, right? We're gonna need that later. Also, for question 1, you need to take a screenshot of your task manager like this, showing the specs of your computer and your virtualization. You need to take these screenshots because you will be required to have them in the end of the lab. So make sure you take those screenshots, please. Okay, now that we did that, we are going to start the installation of the operating system. Now we're not going to do it in this lab. We're going to do it in the next video because I can't install virtual machines in this virtual machine. I need to do it in my regular computer. So I'm going to end the video here, and in the next video, we're going to start the installation of Ubuntu. That's all we're going to do in the following video. So stay tuned.